Hi everyone, we have left out with the last unit, that is unit, that is the evaluation of drugs, that is the WHO and ICH guidelines for assessment of herbal drugs, stability testing of herbal drugs, patenting and regulatory requirements of natural products. In that we have already seen the definitions, right? The patent, IPR, farmer's right, breeder's right, bioprospecting and biopiracy. Next we will go with the patenting aspects, that is the case studies of curcuma and neem, and also the regulatory issues, that is the ASU DTAB, ASU DCC, okay, and scheduled jet drugs of Drugs and Cosmetics Act for DSU drugs. So this is very important. So we will go with these topics first. First we will go with the evaluation of drugs. So according to, we have already studied in pharmacognosy, that is what is evaluation and what tests we do. So we will study in brief over here. So like WHO, that is the World Health Organization, right? The World Health Organization has given certain guidelines for assessment of herbal drugs, and most of the countries have adopted these guidelines. So for the purity and efficacy and quality, okay, to determine all those things, the WHO has kept some certain guidelines which are followed by all the countries, okay, certain countries. The following are the aims and objectives of WHO guidelines. So what are its aims? So why they have kept these guidelines? To maintain the quality, okay, quality control of the crude drug material, plant preparation and finished products. So at every stage the quality is maintained or not. For that reason the guidelines has been done. And for the stability and shelf life, right, the prepared drug is stable or not, and it is having the shelf life or not, okay, the expiry date and everything, okay. Next, safety assessment, okay, safety assessment, documentation of safety based on experience and toxicological studies. So whether if we take this drug, it is safe for us or not, okay. So for that reason also it has been done. Next, this guidelines has been kept. Assessment of efficacy, so how efficient this drug is. So for all those things, for evaluating this, the WHO has kept certain tests, okay, certain guidelines. So how we standardize, okay, standardize and quality evaluation of herbal drugs. So how we do all these things? So we already know the standardization of herbal drugs is being divided into organoleptic, botanical, physical, chemical and biological. We have already studied the evaluation tests, right? So in that, organoleptic means the color, odor, taste, texture, fracture, okay. Fracture means when we break it and when we feel the shape, okay, or when we feel the internal what we say, that striations or everything, that is known as fracture. Whether it is sharp fracture or whether it is blunt fracture, it is having any sharp corners, all those things we can see, that is the organoleptic. Next, in botanical we can have the macroscopic and microscopic. Macroscopic, the shape, external appearance, okay, markings, all those things. Whereas microscopic, the qualitative, quantitative, okay, SEM studies, powder studies, all those things. Next is the physical test, that is the moisture content, extractive values, ash values, fluorescence analysis, all those comes under the physical tests. Next, the chemical tests. In that we have the qualitative and the quantitative. In qualitative we see the HPLC fingerprinting, okay, metabolites, secondary metabolites, DNA fingerprinting, all those things. Whereas in quantitative we see the HPLC, GLC and HPLC. All those things are quantitative. Next, chromatography is also a type of chemical tests. Next, radioactive contamination is also a chemical test. So all these things we have already discussed in the last year, that is a pharmacognosy subject. So that's why I am going a bit of faster in this session, okay. And the last one is the biological session. Here we have antagonistic properties, that is the bacterial and fungal properties. Next we have pharmacological, microbial contaminations. Microbial contamination, we see the total viable aerobic count, determination of pathogens, aflatoxins content, all those things. In pharmacological we see the bitterness value, homolytic activity, foaming index, swelling index, all those things. And for the toxicological, we see the determination of pesticide, pesticide contents, next residues, determination of heavy metals, all those tests. Okay, so this is the standardization of herbal drugs. What are the tests we go we do, okay, for determining the quality of the, okay, yes. Next, so what are the methods required? So there are certain methods. The first method, if we see, is the authentication method. Okay, so authentication method means whatever sample or whatever drug which we have with us is been compared with the standard drugs. Okay, so where they are been kept? They are been kept in certain certain institutions or laboratories or national institutes. Okay, so there are some examples given, like Central Council for Research in Ayurveda and Siddha, that is CCRAS. Okay, so these are some of the examples which you need to remember. So from there they are been compared with the sample which we have. Okay, with comparison to this, if all the things are equal to what we have, then it's a good one. Okay, it is been passed. Okay, so that is what we do for authentication. Next, microscopic and anatomical evaluation. We know that we do these all testings, that is the Palisade ratio, stomatal number, okay, vein islet number, vein termination number, trichomes or plant hairs, calcium oxalate crystals, quantitative microscopy, Lycopodium spore method. You have to study all these things again. Okay, because if there is an essay question, or if they give a short question for what do you mean by Lycopodium spore method, then you have to know the answer. Okay, and if it is a question, if it is a essay question like how you standardize or how you evaluate herbal drugs, then you need to write all these things in detail. Okay, so that is the important thing. Next, chemical evaluation. We have chemically we evaluate the drug or the given sample. So in that we have the instrumental methods, chemical tests, individual constituent chemical tests, microchemical tests. Okay, so instrumental tests means we have the colorimetry, fluorimetry, spectrophotometry, etc. Whereas chemical constant test means we have the acid value, iodine value, ester value. Okay, which are used for identification of fixed oils and fats. Whereas individual chemical tests means we have the alkaloids, tannins, right, for flavonoids, for saponins, we have individual tests. So all those things. Next, for macrochemical tests, these are the tests which are carried on slides. Okay, eugenol in clove oil is precipitated as potassium eugenate crystals. Okay, so this is the thing. Like eugenol in clove oil, when it interacts with potassium permanganate, it produces the potassium eugenate crystals. So that is about the microchemical tests. So then comes the biological evaluation. So for biological evaluation also we have studied so many things like what we say gastrointestinal tests, right? Next, we have studied so many things like on Guinea pigs. We have seen what we say that how it works in the day and light streams, right? Anti-ulcer we have seen. Okay, so all the things you have to read again. So, and we have also seen that it has been represented in the form of international units like 76 mg of standard. Okay, these are the standard values which we have seen, international units of the standard drugs. So like that you have to again see all those things. Again you have to refer all the evaluation tests. Next, what is a patent? So this also you have already seen, you know about regarding this patent and everything. Like when we do anything innovative, when we find anything innovative, okay, innovative, then we give they give us patent, okay, or a grant. So it is a grant by a state to an inventor or to his assignee, means or to his assignee means like my guide is there, so under him if I'm working. Okay, so for me, okay, giving exclusive rights to make, use, exercise and vend the inventions for a limited period in exchange for disclosure in a patent specifications contract between a nation and an inventor. Okay, so that is about the definition of the patent. Next is the intellectual property rights. So suppose I am a person who has invested my whole 5 years, maybe 5 years or 6 years, okay, of life and of my life on a drug. Okay, for creating something new. I have just completely focused everything on that. I have invested money on that. Okay, everything I have done on that. Then if I am giving such a right to someone, okay, so I am not able to do and I am saying someone to do it, then I will go and I will ask for intellectual property rights, IPR rights. So even if he does all those things, okay, so until the 5 years of my hard work, okay, so if it is been cleared, until that I can have my IPR. See, an investor having spent huge money and effort required a sort of protection for his intellectual property, right? Intellectual property means property. If you say property means that is our drug, okay, such protection allows him to gain total deserve incentives for his innovation or inventions. Will provide such protections. So IPR defined as legitimate rights of the inventor for protection of his intellectual property, thus excluding others from making, copying, use or selling his proprietary subject matter. So one thing I said, we can give to others and we can have that so that if he also does that same work, but all the rights will be ours. And another point is, if we are doing the whole work for 5 years or 6 years, in the middle someone can do the same thing. Like for example, if I am doing the PhD right now, so I am doing it on a certain drug which has been not done by anyone. Okay, so if someone knows the drug name, okay, so he may go and take the same drug and he may do that, right? So we need to have that intellectual property right so that no other person can do the work on that. Okay, he need to take the permission from us. So that is the intellectual property rights. Next, object of a patent. So why we are having what are the objectives of this patent? Giving a legal monopoly to the patentee to reap the economical benefit from his inventions, right? So reap means fruiting, right? So if we give the patent, so whatever after the patent is been received, whatever amount he may get or whatever awards he may get, it is for himself, right? So he is getting the fruits from that. Facilitating the improvements or providing the alternative approaches to develop the new ideas and products. See, because if we get patents, we get encouraged to do a lot of, by seeing others if they are getting the patents, we get encouraged to do new things, right? So for that reason also the patents have been given. Invention of new drugs. New drugs can be invented. Next, this Patent Act has been obtained in 1970. According to the Act, a new invention can be done. It should be new and obvious with respect to prior art. Okay, we can go with the traditional ones, but it has to be a new innovated one. Okay, next, it must be useful, not previously in use in India, right? So according to them, according to this act, these all things are considered for getting the patent. Next, patentable. New process of manufacture. When we are doing a new process, so what kind of things can get a patent? Okay, so when the manufacturing process is new, then you can get a patent. Next, new chemical entities. When we are producing a drug, okay, when we are doing some research, from that if you get a new active constituent which has not been present anywhere, then you can get a patent. Next, new formulation process. New formulation means in the earlier thing we have seen the phytosomes, lysosomes, right? So those are new formulation techniques. So you can go get the patent for the new formulation techniques or processes. Next, new composition of matter. Compositions means, you know, right, the drug for compositions. So if the drug compositions are new and novel, then you can get a patent. Next, non-patentable, what you won't get the patent, from what you doesn't get the patents. If we do any discoveries of lands, okay, a land is been discovered, that can't be a will not be a patent. Next, methods of detection, diagnosis and treatment of disease. So detection, diagnosis and treatment, how novel you can do, but they cannot be given the patent. Analytical methods, okay, so analytical testing methods will be there, no, those cannot be given the patents. Next, methods of agriculture and cultivation. So the cultures, నేను ఇలా నాటాను అలా నాటాను, ఓకే, దట్ ఆ న్యూ టెక్నిక్ ద్వారా నాటాను, నథింగ్, ఓకే, ద సీడ్స్ ఇలా వేసాను అలా వేసాను, no patent can be given for such type of things. The products made by chemical synthesis. So any artificial techniques, artificial means, okay, the chemicals may be chemicals are considered as artificial means, so for that also patents cannot be given, it has to be a natural thing. Next, animal, plant and biological methods for growing and rearing them. So if we grow up animal in a different way, so all those things non-patentable, okay. Next, procedure for patenting. So how you proceed for a patent? So we need to bring an application form, we need to fill an application, filling an application, examination of the application by the patents office. Next, opposition if any to the to claims of the patent. Next, granting and sealing of the patent, revocation of the granted patent, okay. So these are the steps involved for the procedure for patenting. First, the application has been filled and submitted. Examination of the application by the patents office, it has been examined. Next, oppositions, if any oppositions are there, then they are being checked. Next, then granting and sealing of the patent, and then revocation of the granted patent. Filing, excuse me. Next one is the filing of an application. So when we file an application, what are the necessary things which we fill? Name, address and nationality of the applicant. Title, name, address and nationality of the inventor if he is not the applicant or co-applicant. Specifications, that is the provisional and complete, giving the details of the invention. Everything pin to pin has to be written. Next, claims, definition and scope of the invention, okay. Next, prior approved patents or applications filled, examination of the application. So now we have given the application, then what they do? So first they do is prior approved patents or applications filed. So they compare them with the prior approved patents, okay. Whatever patents they have, they compare with that, whether the done process or the product is novel or not. So novelty has been checked, whether it is useful, it is benefit for our country or not. So that has been, then the nature of claims, all those things have been done. Then opposition, a 3-month time period is given for any opposition. Contrary claims can be filed and contested, okay. So I have applied for patent, and then they take 3 months time. If we have any oppositions like Teja or Purnima or what we say Swati or Kavya, anyone had done the same work earlier itself, so they can come and they can say, we have already done the work on this plant or on this drug, so how can she do this work? Then the opposition again stops, okay, stops the patent, and we have the case done with that, okay. Next, granting and sealing of the patent. In case of no opposition or clearing satisfactorily all the objections of the applicant, patent is granted and sealed by the patent office by publishing in the official gazette, okay. That is about who can apply for patents. By any person claiming to be the true and first inventor of the invention. So any person who is the first person to invent it. By any person being the assignee of the person claiming to be the true and first inventor in respect of the right to make such application. So any person who is the assignee, like my guide under whom I did, okay. So if we have done, I can go and do that, no need of guide, I can go and, because I am under them, so I can do that. Next, by legal representative of any deceased person who immediately before his death was entitled to make such an application. So if I have invented and I have expired, okay, I have done something and I have expired, so the persons below me who knows that I have done this, so they can immediately do that, okay, they can apply for that. Next, patentable natural products. Formulations of new composition or improved formulation is patented, Okay, new composition or improved formulation is patented. That is one thing. Next, patent for new use of herbal constituents. Patent for new use of herbal constituents. So it is used already in use for certain disease. So if it is used for another disease, then it can also be getting patent. Modifications or synthesis of natural products. Okay, so natural compounds are present. If we do any modifications and synthesis which are beneficial for the humankind, that also you can consider. Next, a novel isolation process. Isolation, okay, how we isolate it. For the process of isolation of azadirachtin, antifungal activity, right, fungicidal activity from the seeds of neem, and it's also its storage, NCL Pune Indian patents. See, so that is how it is been done. Next, a new application of an isolated compound for the use of turmeric as a stabilizing agent for menadione and antifungal agent, Japanese patent. So that is about all those things. You all know about the farmers' right, okay, and the plant breeders' right, bioprospecting and biopiracy. Next, we go with the another important thing, one second, that is the Neem Act and the Turmeric Act. That is also one important thing we have to consider for our what we say, those comes under the case studies. That can be a short question for you guys. Okay, so firstly we will go with the turmeric case. Okay, we know that turmeric is bitter in taste, it is yellow in color. Okay, it is a coloring agent, and it also used in cosmetic industries. So firstly we will write about the use of turmeric in India, then patent issue and turmeric. In the year 1995, you need to remember all these years. Okay, in the year 1995, US patent was awarded to Medical Center of University of Mississippi for the use of wound healing property of turmeric. That is most important thing. Okay, so firstly the Medical Center of University of Mississippi in 1995, they were awarded the patent for turmeric for having the wound healing property. Then what happened? India's claim. Dr. R.A. Mashelkar, okay, Mashelkar, who was the Director of Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, CSIR, during the period of 1995 to 2006, opposed the patent granted to the Medical Center of Mississippi University and worked hard for awakening India's traditional knowledge of turmeric. So he was the person, Dr. R.A. Mashelkar, Director Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, who fought for us, saying that turmeric is our traditional drug. Okay, arguments by the Indian scientists. The claim was supported by documentary evidence, which was an old newspaper dated 1953. Okay, printed and published by Indian Medical Associations, and there were also evidences produced which include old and ancient texts in Sanskrit. So what this Mashelkar did, he took the newspaper of 1953 where on turmeric some article was written. Okay, so he was produced that evidence, and also he produced some Sanskrit, old and Sanskrit texts where it was written regarding our turmeric product. So those all things were given to the judge. Okay, then judgment. In 1998 April, the judgment favored CSIR, which was based on the argument that was produced with string documentary evidence that turmeric was being in use by Indian people since ancient period of time. Okay, when it was given in 1998, the traditional knowledge of digital library TKDL is proving to be effectual in preventing biopiracy, and thus the documentation and digitalizing such traditional knowledge related information should also be made effective. As of now, India is emerging as a pioneer in the field of study. The traditional knowledge of something that should be protected as a valuable asset as it is the basic form of indigenous and local communities' livelihood. This is all regarding the traditional knowledge system. So, I need to tell you this, understood, right? The turmeric case, understood, right? So what turmeric is giving us, and what we have to whom the first patent was given, and then Dr. R.A. Mashelkar, what did he do, then how we won in 1998, the case was ours. Okay, so another important thing is the digital library, the TKDL, that is the traditional knowledge digital library. So we already know digital library means everything is digitalized. Okay, the traditional system means the lipis and everything, all the past things are there, no? So all those things are being digitalized, so that these lipis and everything, they get spoiled, right? So every data is been digitalized, so that it is been now very useful for everyone to get this data very easily. Okay, so that's what by this only, this digitalized system only, we got these cases won by us. Okay, so that is one important thing. Next was the neem case. Okay, next was the neem case. Neem tree is a native evergreen species of tropical countries like Indian and southern countries. Neem is also called the village pharmacy in India. It is also known as the village pharmacy in India for healing property, and it is used as a medicine in mostly in Ayurveda for its very beginning, and it can be said to be used in this whole thing we know. Okay, so it has the antifungal, anti-inflammatory, okay, antipyretic, all those things it has. So problem raised in neem patent. What were the problems raised in neem patent? In the year 1971, a timber importer from US imported neem seeds to plant neem trees in his headquarters in Wisconsin. Okay, who was he? A timber importer. He also conducted performances and safety tests upon the pesticidal properties of neem and got the clearance from the US Environmental Protection Agency known as EPA. See how clever he is. He took the seeds and he went off there and he seeded them. Okay, and also tested it for its safety and pesticidal properties. Okay, after 3 years, he sold a patent to a multinational corporate company which is known as W.R. Grace and Co. Okay, so this patent was given to W.R. Grace and Co., a company, and by the year 1985, several US and Japanese corporations were trying to find and formulate formulations of emulsions for toothpaste production from neem. Okay, so Japanese and US persons, what they were doing? They were trying to formulate a toothpaste from neem. Subsequently, in the year 1992, the corporate W.R. Grace and Co. claimed rights for the pesticide emulsion he gotten out of neem seeds, and by this it became to sue Indian companies for making such emulsions. Okay, so finally they prepared an emulsion for pesticide property, and they gave the patents. They applied for the patents. Then dispute. According to the Indian claim, it was stated that neem is an indigenous product and it is still in practice as a form of traditional knowledge in India. It was also said that neem, if granted patent, it would affect the poor farmers, and by this the Indian economy will also be harmed. Okay, so neem camping in India. During neem camping, what they do is they did the rallies and everything to whole world to know that neem is our tree. Okay, a group of individuals and several NGOs initiated the neem campings, and this was done to mobilize the worldwide people for support and to protect the traditional knowledge system and also protect Indian traditional products from biopiracy. The neem case was the first initiative to challenge US and European patents with regard to biopiracy. Neem case was the first case, okay, to challenge the US and European for biopiracy case. Okay, so when we got the judgment on July 30, 1997. Okay, the European Patent Office accepted the arguments of Indian scientists. Thus, this resulted in rejection of the patent granted by the US Patent Office to W.R. Grace and Co. The argument which was accepted on whole was the use of neem and its products in India for a period of more than 4,000 years. We are using the neem products for more than 4. We are using that stick, right, for cleaning our teeth, right? So this is the neem case and this is the turmeric case. So that is the finish of that patents point, and then we will go with the ASU Yes. So we'll go with the regulatory issues, that is the herbal drug regulations in India. Okay. So provisions relating to the manufacture and control of Ayurveda, Siddha and Unani, so together they are known as ASU drugs, have been prescribed in the Drugs and Cosmetics Act. This act describes the formation of Drugs Technical Advisory Board, that is this act describes the formation of Drugs Technical Advisory Board, that is known as DTAB, which consists of various nominated members and the Drugs Consultative Committee, that is the DCC. Okay, so you may get the questions like what are the members of DCC or what are the members of DTAB and what are their functions. Okay, that is the main question associated with this session. Next, so who are the members? The central government shall constitute a board by notifying the official gazette. The board shall advise the central as well as the state governments on technical matters arising out of the Section 33C of the Drugs and Cosmetics Act and carry other functions assigned to it by this chapter. Constitution of the board. The board shall consist of the following members. You have already seen this in I think your jurisprudence subject. You have this topic, the Drugs and Cosmetics Act, the committee members we have in that. I think so. In jurisprudence only we have studied that. The Director General of Health Services ex officio, the first member. The Drugs Controller ex officio. The Director of Central Drugs Laboratory, Calcutta ex officio. One government analyst nominated by the central government. One pharmacologist nominated by the central government. One phytochemist nominated by the central government. 4 persons nominated by central government, among which 2 from the members of Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia Committee and 1 each from the Unani and Siddha Pharmacopoeia Committee. 1 teacher in Dravaguna and Baishya Kalpana to be nominated by central and central and state government. Okay. Next, 1 teacher from Ilmul Adviya and Talkiswa Davasaji to be nominated by central government. Next, 1 teacher in Gunapadam to be nominated by central government. 3 persons each representing the Ayurveda, Siddha and Unani drug industry to be nominated by central government. 3 persons, 1 each from amongst the practitioners of Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, tip systems of medicines by the nominated by the central government. So these are total 12 points. You need to remember the 12 points. Okay, so this is very important committee members. Okay, next, functioning of the board. Okay, DTAB board. The central government shall appoint a chairman from amongst its members. The nominated members of the board shall hold office for 3 years but shall be eligible for renomination. The board may make bylaws to regulate its functioning and conduct of all activities. The central government shall appoint a secretary of the board and shall provide the board with such clerical and other staffs. Okay. That is about the DTAB. Next we go with the ASU DCC. Okay, that is the Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani Drugs Consultative Committee. So this is 33D session, the 33D, the constitutional functioning. So the ASU DCC shall consist of 2 persons. Okay, 2 persons nominated by central government and 1 person from the state government who acts as a representative of the respective governments. The ASU DCC shall meet when required to do so by the central government and shall regulate its own activities as per their requirements. Next, what are their 2 of them, what are their functions? So what they look after? So firstly they look after the regulations of factory premises and hygienic conditions. So the factory of the ASU drugs, Ayurveda, Siddhani, Unani drugs. Okay, the factory premises are good or not, the hygienic conditions of the company members or the workers, okay, or the surrounding things, everything is been perfect or not. That is the first thing. Second thing, prohibition of manufacture and sale of certain ASU drugs. So if some drugs may have some side effects, so those drugs has to be prohibited. So that is one of the functions of DTAB and DCC. Next, power of central government to prohibit the manufacture, sale and distribution of ASU drugs in public interest. Okay, so that is also power of central government to prohibit the manufacture, sale and distribution of ASU drugs. That is also the responsibility of the DTAB and DCC. And the last one, penalty for the manufacture, sale and distribution of ASU drugs. Okay, if they are producing some poisonous things, then they have the penalty. They can keep the penalty also for that. So that is about the finish of the last topic of the ASU drugs.